Sinoko. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I was good this week and today.
Yeah, good. It's been a very busy week.
I know. Today being Halloween.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm going to review the PowerPoint that we discussed before you actually did the activities, and then we'll talk about how your week went. Yeah?
It will be a good refresher, yes.
Okay. So remember, the benefits of a picture walk the purpose is to build the students' vocabulary, because some kids need that extra support with building those vocabulary skills. It builds students' language skills as well. You know, it allows them to speak and talk to you, and then you tell them, okay, we'll say it this way, use it in a complete sentence, or tell it to me with more detail. It also allows students to practice predicting and inferencing. So, you know, whenever you're asking them those guiding questions, they can tell you what they're predicting, what they're inferencing, what they think is going to happen in the story, or how they can recreate the story. And we also decided that picture walks are recommended to take place during a small group at a reading lesson.
Okay.
So let's go into what does a picture walk look like? Well, we said, you know, when they hold the book, they need to be able to know how to hold it correctly, not upside down, not sideways. So it's always important for us to model and ask students how to hold the book correctly. Show them the spine of the book. Show them where the author and the illustrator can be found on the book. So they'll, you know, by Dr. Seuss. And, you know, they should know the difference between the author, the illustrator. The author writes the words, the illustrator draws the pictures. And also talk to them about the title page. So, you know, when they open the book, that extra title page. And talk to them about table of contents, if there's any in any books. And then building students' vocabulary. We did that with the Level 8 book. Do you remember that? I know
Yes,
it was a while.
yeah, of course.
When students look at the pictures in the book, we ask them questions such as, what do you see? What is it? And then that's when they tell you, oh, it's a dog, it's a sheep, it's a bird, or it's a kid, or that's them telling you those different names of those characters or things in the story. Where do they live? What letter does it start with? And then they locate in the story, oh, that says bird. Okay, what is the bird's, what does it start with? B, b. Can you find a B in there? And they'll say, oh, that's where it says bird.
Right.
And then they find the letter. So it helps them with that vocabulary. Knowing, like, if the bird is on a tree, they'll know it's on a tree branch. It's not a tree, it's the tree branch. So building those vocabulary skills. Because some kids don't know that.
Right, they lack it.
Okay. Building students' language skills was also something that we saw that that our students needed help with, especially when they're learning a second language. So we chose the Level 1 book because it has more sight words. We started with reading students the book, and then we have them retell the story to you. So when you're done reading the story with them, I liked how you had them, you know, tell you, you know, what was it about? Not just draw me a picture or write about it, or especially with kinder, they can't write, they can draw, but, you know, it's better for them to start talking so they can practice their language skills.
Right.
So this will allow students to practice speaking in complete sentences as well with proper language. Also asking them guiding questions while they're talking to you. What do you see? What are they doing? What do you think will happen next? So that helps with inferencing, predicting what will happen next in the story. And also I like how like our students are their first language is English. So they're learning Spanish, so they're able to see that's a pez, that's a mano, dedo, oso. So that's building on top of their language, and they can use that when they're speaking. Okay, so now that that was a refresher, you've seen this before.
Right.
How did it go with your groups this week?
So we have assessed my students again for their reading levels, and most of them have improved. So our groups have now changed. You know, there's kids who were in the bottom group, they were in the middle group, now they're at the bottom. So the kids have been leveled again. And the picture walks with those of my below grade level kids has really helped them a lot. Like you said, one of the biggest troubles that they had was distinguishing the author and the illustrator, or like what did the author do, what did the illustrator do?
Yeah, the difference between what each person
Yeah,
does.
their role is
Because they think it's only one person, or not even. They don't
Yeah.
even. Yeah.
they don't have a clue of who would write it. So
I like how you did that activity with them, where they drew a picture, and then so what is he called? And he was the illustrator, and then the
Right.
other was writing, and you told him, okay, well, what is he doing?
yeah. So with the Dr. Seuss book, we were able to do that, and then also we focused on the book by Mo Williams. He is the writer and the illustrator. So they were able to see that some books have both and some just has one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah.
I really like that. And then your student that was holding the book
Right,
backwards.
yes. We had one student who didn't really have an idea of how to hold a book. Didn't know how to hold it correctly upside down. They also didn't know like the title, the author, and so the picture walk was very successful with that student. She knows how to hold the book correctly, and it's not upside down. She understands that we read it from right to left instead of backwards.
I like how your student was like, look, Miss Tinoco, this is the
Yeah.
author, this is the illustrator, oh, this is the spine.
Yeah. She
Like after she got it, she
she was
really-
able to point out the different spots. And also, another activity that I did with her was we labeled. We got her favorite book. I let her pick out a book from my library center, and she chose a book by Dr. Seuss, The Cat in the Hat book. And she was able to, I gave her a sticky note, and on the sticky note it said author, and she was able to put it on the author.
Oh, so you had
Yeah.
already written author, illustrator.
Yeah, and then so we did that, and that was one activity. She was able to identify it. Then the next time,
That's a good idea.
yeah,
Mhm.
and then the next time, she chose out another book, but this time she wrote it. She wrote the words. Yeah, so she, of course, she doesn't really have a good print awareness, so she had the word author. She wrote on her sticky note, author, and so she was able to identify all the different parts of the book. Yeah, and also with my whole group.
Yeah.
The picture walk, we did it with the story of the week that we were reading, and they were able to make inferences.
Oh, okay.
With the picture
Before, reading it.
Yeah, so when I actually was reading the book to them, they already had a base. They already had that prior knowledge
Yeah.
of what the book was going to be.
Might be about, yeah. that's
So,
fun.
so it wasn't like, this is a whole new book,
Yeah.
and I'm reading the story at the same time, and they have no idea.
Yeah.
So the picture walk really builds their...
Background knowledge, yeah, it does. And I really like how your student was able to, they were actually making their predictions were correct, and they were using the pictures and telling you what they were, and even translating it to Spanish.
Yeah.
And so when they had that picture walk before actually reading it, they knew what they were talking about,
Right,
and then
right.
they were able to actually tell you, it was more
It was
easy
a
for them.
better understanding for them, yeah, because before I implemented picture walks, it was just they were learning the book at the same time, and they were trying to comprehend.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed a difference. Now they're able to focus more on the story. They're able to understand it correctly. So
Yeah, I really like that. I'm glad we did that, because I didn't really know the benefits of a picture walk until we started actually doing it.
yeah,
Because it builds just the foundation for them.
right. And so, like I told you, I leveled my kids in reading again, so I assessed them. And like the student right here, the one that was holding had no awareness of what a book was.
Mm-hmm.
She was now able to hold the book correctly. She was able to understand that, the words, the spaces, the periods, all the parts of the books.
Yeah, her printed language concepts were 9
Oh,
out of
yeah.
9. So
Yeah.
that really, from a 2 out of 9 to 9 out of 9. That's really good.
And I think it was really because of that activity where she labeled the parts of the book.
Yeah. Whenever you finished reading that story to your whole class, I like how then you stopped and then had actually a conversation with them. Like asking them, so what was it about? And then you actually had them tell you from beginning, middle, and end.
Right.
And describing the characters, the setting,
Yeah. So,
and they didn't even know they were doing that.
Right, yeah, they did it. So when I finished reading the book, I asked, of course, like you said, we had a group discussion. We did beginning, middle, and end of the story. Then we identified the characters, the setting. Then with their graphic organizer, some of them decided to draw, some of them decided to write, and we give them the choice.
And you also had a group of students actually talking about it.
Right, yeah. And some of my kids who were my lower level kids who didn't want to draw, who didn't want to write, they were speaking about it. They were speaking about what the characters were, what the setting was, all of that. And it was very successful. My kids who decided to write, it wasn't 100% correct, but it did get them to write, so.
Yeah, because it would have bored them just to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I did notice that.
Yeah.
And the kids that are not there yet, not able to still write, they knew what was happening. They were still learning. They were working on their language skills.
Yeah,
and so they weren't left behind.
Right, definitely. And they weren't frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Because, sometimes with those lower level kids, when we do grade level activities, they're frustrated.
They fall behind.
And like you said, it was a great time to practice their Spanish language too.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad.
Yeah, it was very helpful. Thank you for, because I did mention that I was having trouble with these students, and with not having much experience in the classroom, I didn't know how to even tackle the situation because, I didn't think I was going to encounter this, but I did have some students who were absent that day during the picture walk, so then we were able to do it again the next day with those kids in a small group.
Okay. And did it work out?
Yeah, once we did the picture with those kids that were absent, their comprehension actually rose. They were able to better comprehend the story and tell me back the story too. Their questions really improved. Yeah.
I'm really glad. Well, that's what the purpose was. So your students won't fall behind, especially with those that were absent, because some kids just don't come, and you did it in small group, and you were able to get them caught up.
Yeah, I think the reason it was very successful was because we did it in small group. That's the first time I ever introduced it, small group. Then once I introduced it in small group and the kids understood it, then we moved on to
the whole group.
And then
they did their activity.
And
I like how you had the 3 different stations. They were doing different things, and they were still able to do all of them.
Yeah, and even though, the student that we really focused on that didn't know how to hold the book, there were other students who knew how to hold the book, but they didn't know nothing they didn't know what the title was, they didn't know about the author and illustrator. And so one of my stations was that. Like, how this kid right here by herself, she labeled the different parts. A station was for all the other students to find the title, find the author, if there was an illustrator. Like if you said some books had table of contents, so we were able to do that too in a station.
I'm glad. And did you notice your kids talking more in Spanish about the book?
Right, yes. Some of the kids were able to identify the high frequency words.
I saw one of your students, he was barely talking, the little short one with black hair. He did not, he was just quiet.
Yeah.
He didn't, but then when he was with you in a small group talking, he would not stop. And then I saw him go to his friends, and he was just talking about it, and it gave him confidence.
Yeah, definitely. He gained confidence, and because of the picture walk.
Because he probably thought that he had to just write or draw, but he could just,
Right, so the picture walk gave him the opportunity to see what the book was going to be about. He focused on the picture walk. Then while I was reading it, he was able to understand it. And some of my kids too, since we were reading it in Spanish, they were able to identify those vocabulary words that we mentioned. Some of the high frequency words too, they were able to identify it. And now that they've seen it in a picture, can point it out. They can start to use it in their own writing. And all in the Spanish language, so their language skills have really improved.
So now, since we're going into maybe November, you could pull out Thanksgiving books, and then that'll go with their crafts, their writing, and just do the same.
Yeah, and also another
strategies.
big success that you mentioned during the picture walk was language skills. They were able to speak in complete sentences.
Good.
Yeah, so like, if I asked who was the characters,
They won't just say mommy.
right? I would push them. Some kids would just say mommy, but some of my other kids were saying stuff like the characters or the character is blah blah blah. The character.
And I know this because
And one of the biggest reasons that was so successful, them speaking in complete sentences, was because I had the sentence stem. And every time, after a while of me just pointing to it,
they already knew what to say.
They already knew what to say, and some of them who didn't were able to point to it. And they were able to, they came up to the board, pointed at it word by word, and speak it. And so that really does help with their language skills.
Yeah, and speaking in complete sentences, because some kids are like, no, or Sally, or like, what about Sally? What about the mom in the story?
Yeah, and so now
just giving you those details. So whenever they get to 4th grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, they'll be able to write
in complete
with
sentences.
details,
and I've noticed that too. The kids who use the sentences are now able to translate their speaking into writing. And so they're able to write in complete sentences instead of just cat go. The cat went.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so good.
It has been going really good. Yes. So now that I've assessed my kids and I have new reading groups.
Yeah.
For some of my kids who probably still don't, because all of them understand a picture walk, and I've seen themselves too do a picture walk at the library center when they have a book, and there's like two kids who still need a little bit more focus on identifying the author, the illustrator, just those basics.
Yeah.
And then also making predictions. Because some of the kids would those 2 kids that I'm talking about would just look through the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even hold it upside down, not even know.
Not even know what's going on. Yeah. So for those kids, I'm going to keep with the picture walk and really emphasize the inference, because that's one of the biggest skills.
Yeah, it is. Well, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
And is there anything else you wanted to share?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
It was really helpful. Thank you so much for helping me.
You're welcome. You're great.
Thank you.